It is necessary to suppress provocations and attempts to incite discord among people, especially considering that the provocateurs themselves are usually based abroad. They are supervised, funded, and directed by foreign intelligence agencies. The goal is obvious: to undermine our unity. Our adversaries use any excuse and pretext, everyday incidents, the migration factor, to destabilize the situation, to inflame and provoke conflicts. They also rely on radical groups, that is, on openly terrorist methods. A message to future generations: do not let disputes escalate into conflicts that destroy the country. Do not allow instability in the state system, the foundations of the state, and of course safeguard social and national unity, our values, and our shared foundations. This is, without exaggeration, the most important, the main pillar of our sovereignty. Today we have a vivid example of genuine. Our heroes, soldiers, and officers are demonstrating a vivid example of true interethnic unity and brotherhood in arms during the special military operation. They selflessly go into a righteous battle for Russia, proving in combat that we are all one people. It is necessary to suppress provocations and attempts to incite discord among people, especially considering that the provocateurs themselves are usually based abroad. They are supervised, funded, and directed by foreign intelligence agencies. The goal is obvious: to undermine our unity. Our adversaries use any excuse and pretext, everyday incidents, the migration factor, to destabilize the situation, to inflame and provoke conflicts. They also rely on radical groups, that is, on openly terrorist methods. Outside of Russia, more and more so-called international organizations and various pseudo-national centers are being created, but in reality, these are simply tools of information warfare against us. Now, as you know, more and more often they are pushing for some kind of decolonization of Russia, which in essence means the dismemberment of the Russian Federation and inflicting on us that same notorious strategic defeat. They've even come up with a special term, post-Russia, meaning a territory stripped of sovereignty, broken up into small fragments under someone else's control in the West. Well, we've heard this many times before in various versions. New ones keep appearing, but in essence, nothing changes. And yet, despite the fact that they have achieved nothing, not just for decades, but for centuries, you could say nevertheless, all of this continues. And so the threats against us remain, and we must, of course, take this into account. We must act firmly, consistently, and systematically. We must respond appropriately to risks and challenges. All of this must be reflected in the new version of the national policy strategies. The ideology of aggressive Russophobia is directed against all the peoples of our country, because without the Russian people, without the Russian ethnic group, without this factor, there is no Russia and there cannot be. That is why Russophobia as a whole, it is at the center of attention of our adversaries. Russian identity, tradition, culture, and language, the state-forming elements of our people, require the utmost care and protection. Their unifying role is a guarantee of the unity of our already multinational fatherland. Of course, the culture, customs, and languages of every people in our vast country are also important and necessary to us, country. Such diversity and the care for its preservation is the very foundation of Russia's national policy. One of the most important indicators of the effectiveness of national policy should be the opinion of our citizens. That is, how people themselves assess the state of interethnic relations in their region, city, or town. That is what matters. And what they think about the quality of the work of government bodies in such a sensitive area. And of course, in order to get an accurate picture and see the real dynamics of processes, including such issues as strengthening the all-Russian identity, we need. In this regard, with the participation of leading scientists and experts, I ask that the experience of sociological research in this field be studied and that options for its improvement be proposed using advanced scientific approaches and developments. Overall, the system of indicators for evaluating the effectiveness of the new strategy is very important for the quality of management and for making well-considered and timely decisions. I agree with my colleagues. The list of such indicators in the field of national policy should be unified, comprehensive, and objective. In other words, it should be a cross-cutting tool for assessing the work of authorized government bodies at all levels. And I ask the government, together with the Council and the regions, to further work on this issue. The strategy proposes to strengthen the regional component. This is the right step for our large federal country. At the same time, the main regional authorities should have all the necessary tools to work on the ground, while the federal center, of course, must continue to ensure a unified strategic direction. Currently, coordination on interethnic relations is entrusted to an interdepartmental working group. Given the importance of this area, I propose raising its status to that of a government commission.